Welcome to this captivating YouTube video about the legendary Nalanda Mahavihara, the oldest known university in India. In the previous episode, we explored the fascinating history and architectural marvels of Nalanda Mahavihara. If you missed that, don't worry, you can catch up by clicking the link above. The Nalanda Mahavihara is broadly divided into the spiritual zone and the educational cum residential zone. Let us start by stepping into the spiritual zone of Nalanda. We begin our tour at Site 3, the Stupa of Sariputra. Initially built by Emperor Ashoka on the remains of Sariputra, one of Buddha's closest disciples, this structure expanded over time under the patronage of various kingdoms. It had 7 levels of construction. The inner 3 were in the form of stupas, while the later 4 expansions took the shape of panchayatan structures, with the central stupa surrounded by 4 subsidiary shrines. This unique Panchayatan Chaitya design became a significant contribution of Nalanda to Buddhist architecture, influencing stupa construction in the centuries that followed. While the currently exposed construction represents the later 4 phases, the Archaeological Survey of India (ASI) has carefully hidden the inner 3 core phases to prevent them from deterioration. Adjacent to the stupa of Sariputra, we find other temples forming the spiritual zone of Nalanda. These temples are separated from the educational and residential zone by a pathway. Let us explore those other temples within the spiritual zone. Site 12 boasts the largest Chaitya of Nalanda, showcasing 2 phases of construction between the 6th and 11th century. Site 13 is another Chaitya with a prominent Garbhagriha that once housed a colossal statue of Buddha. The thickened walls of the Garbhagriha reflect multiple phases of reconstruction. Site 14 also features a Chaitya, though only the Garbhagriha has been uncovered. As we wander around, you will notice multiple small stupas known as votive stupas surrounding Stupa 3, Site 12 and Site 13. These votive stupas, constructed with brick and stucco during the Gupta and early Pala periods, and with stone during the late Pala period, serve as commemorative monuments. Many of these stupas contain the remains of revered acharyas and panditas who dedicated their lives to Nalanda and were venerated by generations of scholars. Now let us visit the educational and residential zone. The educational and residential hub accommodated over 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers at its peak. The viharas or monastic residences were central to scholastic life at Nalanda. Let's step into Vihara 1, the oldest and the most significant vihara in this complex. The basic structure of a vihara at Nalanda consisted of a central courtyard for teaching activities, surrounded by residential spaces that opened onto a veranda. As we enter Vihara 1 through the gateway on the western wall, you'll notice recessed shrines on the north and south walls. These shrines once housed Buddha statues, and the students would offer their prayers before entering the vihara. The remains of a brick staircase in the southwest corner suggest that the residential buildings of Vihara 1 may originally have been 2 stories high. As we stroll through the veranda, we can observe the modest living quarters of the monks. These rooms, measuring approximately 9 feet by 9 feet with a height of 11 feet, typically accommodated a single student. Some rooms even had berths to accommodate multiple students. the center of each vihara lies a courtyard which served as a space for daily classes, debates, and religious activities. Additionally, on the eastern side of the vihara, you will find a raised platform where distinguished acharyas would deliver lectures and lead the debates. Within the courtyard, we can also see brick shrines added during the reign of the Pala dynasty. These shrines were once the sites of sacred rituals. The viharas were meticulously designed to optimize ventilation and lighting. Strategically placed windows and skylights allowed natural light and fresh air to permeate the buildings. The overall design of the viharas fostered an environment conducive to learning and contemplation, with an emphasis on functionality, aesthetics, and the promotion of Buddhist way of life. Should you have the time, there is an entire row of viharas waiting to be explored, each with its unique story to tell. Observe the presence of chulas, brick-lined hearth-like depressions in the courtyard. These chulas may have been used for cooking or drying robes of the scholars. Behind Vihara 7 and 8, you will find Temple 2. Temple 2, in contrast to the typical layout and architectural style of Nalanda's temples, boasts a nearly square plan with sides measuring approximately 32 meters. Accessible via a staircase on the east side, the temple features an intriguing arrangement of 211 sculptured panels on the base moldings, all crafted from stone. Noteworthy are the symmetrically arranged rows of panels depicting gods or goddesses, Jataka stories, everyday life scenes, animals, birds, and geometrical motifs. The pilasters between the panels are adorned with pots and foliage designs, topped with arches. Temple 2's artwork and architecture suggests it was constructed in the 7th century. And finally, our journey leads us to the Shrine Mound, also known as the Sarai Mound. This easternmost structure, dating back to the 7th to 8th century AD, has been mentioned in the inscriptions of Punarvarman and the records of Huan Sang. According to these records, the Shrine Mound once housed an 80 feet tall statue of Buddha. Today, we can only witness the remains of the statue's colossal feat within this sacred shrine. Let us now learn about the educational system at Nalanda. Admissions at Nalanda University were no ordinary affair. The gates were guarded by distinguished scholars known as Dwara Panditas. To gain entry, aspiring scholars needed to possess an absolute command over the Vedas, Sutras, Shastras, as well as Buddhist texts, along with proficiency in Sanskrit. Regardless of the religious affiliation, Nalanda welcomed students from all parts of the world, mostly from India, but also attracting learners from China, Korea, Tibet, Central Asia, and Southeast Asia. Once admitted, scholars would have their names recorded in the university's register and embark on a journey of intense study in their chosen discipline, spanning up to 10 years. The students fell into two age groups: Manavakas, who were under 20 years of age and focused on the 5 basic subjects known as the Panchavidya; Brahmacharis, were those over 20 and already well versed in the basics. They had to undergo a rigorous test to gain admissions into Nalanda's higher learning schools equivalent to postgraduate degrees and beyond. Once accepted, scholars had the opportunity to select a karmacharya or preceptor and a professor to guide them through the study of Pratima Kosha, Vinaya Pitaka, Sutras and Shastras. Following this, they would serve as Dahara or junior faculty members for a decade before becoming eligible to serve as Upadhyaya or professors or Karmacharya preceptors. Academic operations at Nalanda were managed democratically, with both junior and senior faculty members participating in the election of various administrative roles such as the Dean of Affairs, Dean of College, Dean of Admissions and Chancellor. They also voted on academic, practical and disciplinary matters, including the enrollment of new students and faculty. The curriculum at Nalanda embraced a vast array of subjects from sacred to secular. Epistemology, psychology, philosophy, mathematics, and the four Buddhist schools of thought were among the focal points of study. The master's degree program delved into comparative religion, philosophy, Vedist philosophies, and the entire Vedic corpus. Chinese scholars who have visited Nalanda have noted that the five sciences, logic, linguistics, and the multidisciplinary science of mind were also integral to this program. Nalanda was renowned for its unique teaching and learning method known as Tarka or debate. Scholars engaged in dialogue-based learning where one would question while the other provided answers. This process was reversed with the answerer becoming the questioner and the dialogue continued until a satisfactory response was achieved. This method fostered metacognitive understanding, enabling scholars to apply and expand upon their knowledge. The viharas of Nalanda served as vibrant centers of discussion, with a central courtyard witnessing debates and discussions among scholars of various schools and affiliations. Hundreds of chairs or pulpits accommodated formal lecturers and discussions, while smaller groups engaged in dialogue and meditation within their rooms. This unique learning system extended to students of all ages. During graduation, individuals faced a barrage of questions from students, peers, acharyas, pandits, and even the head abbot. The goal was not rote memorization, but rather the cultivation of active memory and conscious learning where the mind absorbed knowledge and developed the ability to apply it fruitfully. In conclusion, the Nalanda Mahavihara stands as a testament to the remarkable institution that it was. Its influential role in Buddhist education and philosophy during ancient India cannot be overstated. The grand complex of viharas, with its distinctive architectural design and unparalleled scholarship, attracted scholars and students far and wide, establishing it as a hub of intellectual activity and learning. Though Nalanda met its demise in the 12th century, its legacy lives on, symbolizing the intellectual and cultural richness of ancient India and inspiring generations of scholars and students to this day. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey into the heart of India's oldest residential university. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more captivating explorations of history and knowledge.